Ladies and gentlemen, we are witnessing the arrival of dignitaries to One Health IDEAnet Forum 2025 to mark the inauguration. Thank you very much to the vibrant dancers and Your Excellency. This is the traditional welcome that Sri Lanka can extend to you. On behalf of this prestigious University of Colombo, and I respectfully move for the national anthem of the Democratic Socialist Republic of Sri Lanka and Germany to pay homage to the nations.
Sri Lanka Mata, Mata Sri Lanka, Namo, Namo, Namo.
The IDEAnet One Health Forum, a conference designed to advance the application of One Health approach in public health diagnostics, pandemic preparedness, particularly in Sri Lanka, that will really be helpful. So without further elaborating, to welcome this prestigious gathering, including Your Excellency, the Chief Guest, and also the prestigious gathering, on a formal note, I would like to most respectfully invite to officially commence the proceedings Professor I.C. Pereira, the Principal Investigator, Sri Lanka IDEAnet Project, to deliver the welcome address. It's over to you, sir.
Your Excellency, Dr. Felix Neumann, Ambassador of Germany to Sri Lanka, Honorable Dr. Anil Jasinghe, Secretary, Ministry of Health and Mass Media, Sri Lanka, Professor Indika Mahesh Karunatilaka, Vice Chancellor, University of Colombo, Professor I.M.K. Fernando, Acting Dean of the Faculty of Science, Professor Devaka Veerakun, Head of the Department of Zoology and Environment Sciences, Dr. Manro Takeuchi, WHO Country Liaison Officer to Sri Lanka, Professor Neelika Malavike, our distinguished keynote speaker, Dean, Faculty of Medicine, distinguished heads, departments and institutions, officials of the University of Colombo, colleagues, healthcare professionals, researchers, students, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the University of Colombo, the Robert Koch Institute, Germany, and the entire organization committee, it is my great privilege to welcome you to the IDEAnet One Health Forum 2025. Today, we celebrate a remarkable partnership that began in 2017 between the University of Colombo and Robert Koch Institute. Beyond its achievements, IDEAnet has built something invaluable, a community of dedicated professionals and lasting partnerships that demonstrate what is possible through genuine international collaborations. Over these 2 days, we will explore how we identify emerging agents, strengthen diagnostics, and build surveillance systems. This forum brings together leading experts from Sri Lanka and Germany to share knowledge, celebrate achievements, and chart the path forward. I wish to welcome the distinguished speakers and the chair personnel also to the inauguration. Welcome once again to the IDEAnet One Health Forum 2025. May these 2 days strengthen the collaboration that will carry this vital work forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Professor I.C. Pereira, the Principal Investigator of Sri Lanka IDEAnet Project and the Professor of the Department of Zoology and Environmental Sciences. And also, I most respectfully welcome the Faculty of Medicine, the Dean of the Faculty of Medicine, Vidya Jyoti, Professor Vajita Disanaika, sir, to this prestigious event, and it's a pleasure that you're joining with us at today's event.
Ladies and gentlemen, to understand the journey, the vision, and the achievements of IDEAnet project, we will now hear from the architect of this collaboration from German side. Professor Andrea Nische is the head of the Division of Highly Pathogenic Viruses at the Robert Koch Institute, Berlin, one of the world's leading institutions in infectious disease research and public health. Professor Nische is an internationally renowned expert in viral diagnostics, particularly for highly pathogenic viruses, and has been one of the people in the forefront of developing diagnostic tools for emerging infectious diseases. As the principal investigator of the IDEAnet project from Germany, he has brought not only scientific expertise and resources, but also a genuine commitment to the capacity building and partnership. His vision of collaborative, sustainable research that strengthens health security in countries like Sri Lanka has been the driving force behind IDEANet's remarkable success. It is now my privilege to invite Professor Andrea Nische to introduce the IDEAnet project. Professor, the floor is yours.
For me, it is a privilege and an honor to stand here because, as we heard before, already from Professor Inoka, I'm coming to Sri Lanka since 2017. It's my 19th stay here, and although it's a professional collaboration, and I hope I can show you that it is, we made friends and we have established a trusted collaboration, which is, to my opinion, the basis of whatever we are doing here. So, I was told the slides are not getting bigger. I hope you can see them. This is what we heard before. Where can I? Okay. The German Global Health Protection Program is the funding body of this project, and the German government decided that we have to be prepared worldwide for outbreaks of highly contagious diseases, and this global health protection program was started. In total, until today, we have 7 German institutions involved in this. We have 92 funded projects internationally with 74 partner countries. And the basic idea is to strengthen global health protection, accepting that infectious diseases will, in a modern world, never stay at the place they occur. So the core partners from the beginning have been the University of Colombo, the Colombo North Teaching Hospital, and the Robert Koch Institute. And this schematic drawing is showing you the idea we had. So we thought about improving health of Sri Lankan people by helping and supporting to establish diagnostic tools for infectious diseases, and to see what we have considered beside the common infectious diseases you have to deal with in hospitals. We collaborated with the University of Colombo to find pathogens that may be circulating in wildlife and can have an influence on the humans. And then we start the circle again and introduce the diagnostics. So the basic aim was to improve diagnostics for highly pathogenic agents, to establish diagnostics wherever needed, to identify the agents that may cause encephalitis. When we started this project, and I'm not sure if we are in a much better situation now, there have been a lot of non-clarified cases of encephalitis in Sri Lankan people. And yeah, we wanted to identify new viruses. This is how it looks like when we come to Sri Lanka. So we usually bring a lot of stuff, and this is like a brief run through the history of the project. We supported, for example, in Ragama, in North Colombo Teaching Hospital, the establishment of a PCR laboratory, and the colleagues you see on the right were so kind for the opening of this lab. They put a picture of Robert Koch there. This was very nice, and we gave trainings, for example, during this outbreak. This is a post actually of the German embassy, a social media post. So we give trainings in different combinations of supportive groups, like in this kind, it was the GIZ and other institutions of belonging to the Ministry of Health in Germany, when you had in Sri Lanka close to 200,000 cases of dengue one year. We do, as I said, wildlife analysis. This is just a picture taken from the park, which is 10 minutes walking distance from our hotel. And for example, in this park, we could show that flying foxes are shedding highly pathogenic viruses never detected so far in Sri Lanka, like this Nipah virus. I don't go into the scientific details that much, but you can imagine that the virus is quite similar to the viruses circulating in India, because it's pretty close by. And then, as a consequence of this finding, we run workshops on molecular diagnostics for, in this case, Nipah virus with a focus. So we introduce common molecular diagnostics, modern molecular diagnostic tools like isothermal amplification techniques. We provide tools to sequence the genomes to see the epidemiology of these viruses circulating, and so on. We added more and more topics. This was, at this time, coming like in line with the Southeast Asia regional strategy for Nipah virus. And yeah, this is our expert for the isothermal amplification techniques. I'm very happy that we have him here. And the key achievements of the first phase were something like establishing partner laboratories, the IDEALab, which is in Professor Inoka's and previously Professor Rappa's and Prema Renza's group. It's a PCR training lab, a PCR diagnostic lab. They can do all the molecular techniques we were elaborating together on. We have a virology lab at North Colombo Teaching Hospital, which was enabled to run PCR diagnostics, and this was a quite huge benefit during the SARS-CoV-2 pandemic. And we have a sequencing laboratory that we supported at MRI, and this was the first project phase. In the second project phase, running for the last 3 years, we tried to, or we successfully established a laboratory network that more labs are going to be able to run PCR diagnostics. And I make it short. So we try to interconnect laboratories and clinics to provide a robust diagnostic and to give you the opportunity to run even more diagnostics than you did before by giving you, I hope you can see it on the bottom, kits, reagent kits that can be used with a workshop we finished on Friday. You should be able now to run these diagnostics for 20 pathogens so far. And Dr. Rohita, I don't know where you're sitting at the moment, but Dr. Rohita told me now when we met this morning that with our reagents, the chikungunya outbreak could be identified, which would at least have been taken longer before we introduced these kits. So this is the good photo of our chikungunya workshop we did this year. And now coming to the future. On last Friday, we got an email that MOH in Germany is willing to fund this project from next year on again. We don't know the exact conditions at the moment, but we will find this out. And the basic idea of the coming project period is that we try to get a kind of routine in what we have done in all the years before. So we try to identify pathogens of relevance for the human population and for the animal population. It's going to be a One Health approach. In Sri Lanka, we support in providing reagents, giving trainings, doing some kind of awareness raising, and would like to support a kind of molecular surveillance in the future. And this is an overview of what we have achieved. You don't have to look into each of these little bricks, but we have been training now many more than 200, 250 people. We have PhD students that graduated in our project in Germany and in Sri Lanka. We have laboratories equipped, as I said. But for me, it's important to know that we're not putting money somewhere in terms of devices and reagents. So as I said, it's a trusted collaboration where people are approaching us, asking for advice, asking for specific reagents. We are very, very interested in qualifying and training students. And I can say that it's my particular pleasure that I'm now an adjunct professor at the University of Colombo. This is really very nice. And yeah, so that's it. And I would like to thank the founders of the project, Professor Zunil, Dr. Gayani from Colombo, North Colombo Teaching Hospital, Professor Shiroma from IBMBB, and Vipula, Professor Vipula, who was our first contact when we came, and now the current project head on the Sri Lankan side. And this is very important because I have to thank my group. You may see that we showed up here with 8 people, while 1.5 people are funded by the project. So this is a huge commitment of the RKI and my group. And I put an error this morning on all the people that are involved. And I would, for example, also like to mention Dr. Hamza. I don't know where here in the audience now. Dr. Hamza spent nearly 1 year for kind of qualification training in our institute. And so, yeah. So I think half of the people there have been involved in the Sri Lankan collaboration already. And that's it. Thanks for your attention.
Thank you very much, Professor, for the insightful presentation and wonderful explanation, and with the introduction to the IDEAnet project. And with greatest respect, ladies and gentlemen, and it's now distinct honor and privilege to invite the Vice Chancellor of the prestigious University of Colombo, Professor Indika Mahesh Karunatilaka, to address these prestigious gathering. Professor Karunatilaka heads the University of Colombo, the Sri Lanka's premier institution of higher learning and a beacon of academic excellence for over a century. Professor Karunatilaka brings a strong commitment to strengthening research capacity, fostering international collaborations, advancing scientific excellence in areas of critical and national importance, yet leading the University of Colombo. With greatest respect, I would like to invite you, sir, to the podium to address this prestigious gathering.
Your Excellency, the Ambassador of Germany to Sri Lanka, Herr Dr. Felix Neumann, guten Abend, willkommen an der Universität von Colombo. Dankeschön. Dr. Alija Singh, the Secretary to the Ministry of Health, Government of Sri Lanka. Very warm welcome, and very warm welcome to a very close colleague. We have worked many years together. Professor Nilika Malavige, a proud alumni of the University of Colombo, and today's keynote speaker, Dr. Andreas Nisch. Dankeschön für your help. Professor I.M.K. Fernando, the acting dean of the Faculty of Science. Professor Devaka Veerakorn, the head of department. Professor Vajira Disanayaka, the dean, Faculty of Medicine, University of Colombo. All the officials from the Ministry of Health, professors, senior professors, academic staff from University of Colombo. Dear researchers, I'm indeed privileged and proud to be here. Proud due to many reasons in this very historic occasion. Why historic? Again, due to many reasons. University of Colombo is the oldest university in Sri Lanka. Started as the Colombo Medical School. We have many academics from the Colombo Medical Faculty today, 155 years ago. And when it comes to microbiology, there is no other respected name than Robert Koch, with the inception and many concepts introduced into microbiology. So indeed historic. It's historic in the sense of the collaborations that we are making. University of Colombo with the Robert Koch Institute, and also the Ministry of Health, World Health Organization, the hospital network, with several other universities coming in. This network is indeed historic, and that is how it should be, because we are talking about One Health. One Health means the health transcends the boundaries of disciplines. The boundaries goes beyond medicine, goes beyond public health, goes even beyond global health. Now we talk about One Health, which brings together many disciplines, many specialties. So we have the Faculty of Science here, we have the Faculty of Medicine here, we have the Ministry of Health, the public health, everything coming together towards global health, planetary health, and One Health. That is the only way that we can face the challenges. The challenges of the double burden of diseases, the emerging infectious diseases. There's no other way that we can face these challenges without collaboration, without network. That is why this collaboration becomes very historic. And it's very close to my heart as well. I can remember 2020, during the COVID pandemic, during which I happened to be the president of Sri Lanka Medical Association. I can remember calls that I have received from the then Director of Health Services, Dr. Alija Singh's office, to establish collaborations. And we have started the task force within the Ministry of Health to develop the guidelines, protocols. And during that time, it was completely unknown area. Nobody really knew about what was COVID-19. That is where Dr. Ananda Vijayavikrama and Professor Nilika Malavige came in. Again, I can remember many media meetings that we had to go, even though Dr. Nilika, Professor Nilika doesn't like to go to media appearances. There were many media conferences that we had to go because there were a lot of misconceptions. One misconception was about what should be the diagnostic tool. There were many who were pushing for the antibody testing. It has gone even up to the political level. So we had to end that debate by issuing a press statement, media statement from Sri Lanka Medical Association and the Ceylon College of Physicians and College of Microbiologists, arguing that RT-PCR should be used for diagnostic purposes. I think there are many here. Dr. Hasit is also here. There are a lot of work done during that time period. It really highlights, it has highlighted the need for collaboration, need to work together. In that sense, I think this established that networking, collaboration between different institutions, different professions. So I'm wishing all the very best for this historic endeavor, and I thank all of you, especially Professor Inoka Pereira, for his commitment, dedication, and perseverance. And I'm sure this is going to be a historic and one of the most important initiatives taken towards improving the health in Sri Lanka. Thank you very much and wish you all the very best.
Thank you very much, sir, for those inspiring words and for your commitment and support that has been given to this project throughout. And we really look forward to the continued success of this collaboration under your leadership. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, we are deeply honored to have with us today His Excellency Dr. Felix Neumann, the Ambassador of the Federal Republic of Germany to Sri Lanka and Maldives. The IDEAnet project represents the strong bond of friendship and scientific cooperation between Germany and Sri Lanka. This collaboration, funded by the German Federal Ministry of Health through the Global Health Protection Program, exemplifies the partnership with nations like Sri Lanka. Your Excellency, your presence here today honors us greatly and demonstrates the importance that Germany places on this partnership and on strengthening health systems worldwide. We are deeply honored to have you with us to share your thoughts on this collaborative initiative. It is now my great privilege to invite His Excellency Dr. Felix Neumann to address the gathering.
Dr. Anil Jasinge, Honorable Secretary of the Ministry of Health and Mass Media, the heads of the GHPP project IDEAnet, Professor Andreas Nietzsche, Dr. Gunnar Sander, and Professor Dr. Inora Pereira, Honorable Vice-Chancellor of the University of Colombo, Professor Dr. Indika Kanolatilaleke, distinguished resource persons from the Robert Koch Institute and the University of Colombo, dear students, academia, and participants of this conference, ladies and gentlemen. I am pleased to say a few words at the opening ceremony of this important and timely conference, bringing together national and international experts to exchange valuable insights and experiences on the prevalence and management of emerging pathogens. The University of Colombo, well known, I learned, since 1875, in collaboration with the also well-known Robert Koch Institute, the RKI, Germany, is working together in advancing Sri Lanka's national health security. The RKI partnership has been in place since 2017, playing a crucial role during the COVID-19 pandemic, helping set up PCR labs and providing diagnostic support. This impactful collaboration is supported by the German Federal Ministry of Health under the Global Health Protection Program, GHPP. It is focused on enhancing preparedness and resilience in the face of public health challenges in Sri Lanka and elsewhere. The project significantly strengthens local diagnostic and laboratory capacity, improving the nation's preparedness for both
endemic and emerging viral threats. The core aim of the project is to strengthen diagnostic capacities for both endemic and emerging human pathogenic viruses and other pathogens through a One Health approach in Sri Lanka. Hence, an improved and more direct preparation for future epidemics and pandemics can be expected. In this regard, this project has established a sustainable nationwide laboratory network connecting Sri Lankan's hospitals. Training of over 200 Sri Lankan lab professionals in advanced molecular diagnostics. The success of this project was the first ever detection of Nipah virus, we have heard that, in Sri Lanka as a prime example of proactive One Health surveillance. Corona has been a word that tormented the whole world for more than a year since the end of 2019, even more than a year. It created a global pandemic by infecting more than 180 million people across 220 countries and caused the death of more than 3.9 million patients. Therefore, research collaboration such as this is important because it allows researchers to tackle complex problems, leading to more impactful and higher quality results, and the sharing of resources and expertise. It fosters innovation by combining different skills and perspectives. It accelerates the research process through a division of labor and helps validate findings through multiple scrutiny. Collaborations also enable researchers to expand their knowledge, build professional networks, and gain personal and cultural enrichment. I am extremely happy and glad to note that there is a regular exchange between German and Sri Lankan doctoral students, which allows for fruitful knowledge exchange between our two countries. Academic exchanges and collaborations have been key to unlocking potential and finding answers to complex questions worldwide. Security, which includes health, is a key pillar of the new German foreign policy, elaborated by Dr. Johann Wadefuhl, the new German Minister for Foreign Affairs. I'm indeed very glad and honored to see this broader context, as well that there is this strong collaboration and commitment regarding health issues between Germany and Sri Lanka. I take this opportunity to thank the organizers, Robert Koch Institute and the University of Colombo again. I wish you, the participants, good luck in your research work. We all can sincerely hope that national health security and international health security will be enhanced with this conference and all the work around it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for your prestigious presence and addressing. And also, I would like to respectfully invite the Vice Chancellor of the University of Colombo, Professor Indika Mahesh Karnatilaka, and accompany him, Professor Ansi Pereira, Principal Investigator, Sri Lanka, IDEAnet Project, and the Professor of Department of Zoology and Environmental Science, to present the token of appreciation to the Ambassador of Germany, His Excellency, Dr. Felix Neumann. Ladies and gentlemen, can we have a big round of applause as a gratitude from the University of Colombo and from the heartfelt thanks from the Sri Lankan people. Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for this insightful and encouraging remarks, and the German government support throughout the Global Health Protection Program and the Robert Koch Institute has been truly transformative of Sri Lanka's diagnostic capacity, the pandemic preparedness, and this collaboration, ladies and gentlemen, stands as a model for meaningful international partnership in health security. Thank you very much, Your Excellency, and the Vice Chancellor and the Principal Investigator of IDEAnet Sri Lanka for making the presentation successful. And also, proceeding forward for today's event, I would like to continue with a dance performance before the conference, and I would like to invite on a brief journey back to the time in ancient Sri Lanka, where communities face the same challenge, and we discuss today the threat of infectious diseases.
Long before microscopes, before germ theory, before modern surveillance systems, our ancestors in Sri Lanka developed their own framework for understanding and combating illness. The traditional dance you're about to witness is a centuries-old healing ritual. In this ritual, specially trained dancers and drummers would be summoned when illness struck a village. Through intricate movements, powerful drumming, and invocations, they would perform an elaborate ceremony to chase away the demons of disease and restore health to the afflicted. The vigorous movements represent the battle against disease. The rhythmic drumming mirrors the urgency of our response. The collective participation reflects what we know today as community health engagement. As you watch, I invite you to reflect on this continuity, how every culture across time has mobilized its knowledge, its art, and its collective will to fight the invisible enemies that threaten human health.
ආයුබෝවන් කියලා කතා කළේ බොහොම වැදගත් වටිනා කියන සමනීය අවස්ථාවක්. ඉතින් අද දින ආශ්‍රයේදී මේ කොළඹ විශ්වවිද්‍යාලයේ ශ්‍රවණාගාරයට ඇවිල්ලා අපි සියලු දෙනා එක රාශි වෙලා ඉන්නේ බොහොම වැදගත් කටයුත්තකට. නේද? ඉතින් මේ ජර්මන් රජයේ ආධාර පිණිස ශ්‍රී ලංකා ජනයාගේ සෞඛ්‍ය තත්ත්වයේ ඉහළට නංවන්න නේද? උදෙසා මේ රජයෙන් කරන්නා වූ පරිත්‍යාගයක් ප්‍රදාන කරගෙන විශ්වවිද්‍යාලයේ මම හිතන්නේ පීඨාධිපතිතුමා ඇතුළු මේ කාර්ය මණ්ඩලයත් ලෝක සෞඛ්‍ය සංවිධානයේ සියලුම දෙනා ඇවිල්ලා ඉන්න මේ ස්ථානයට ඒ නියෝජනය කරන සමාජිකයන් ඇවිල්ලා ඉන්නවා. ඒ සියලු දෙනා එක රාශි වෙලා මේ කටයුත්ත බොහොම ලස්සනට සංවිධානය කරලා තිබුණා. ඉතින් ඒ නිසා මේ ස්ථානට ඇවිල්ලා මේ කටයුත්තට දායක කාරක මූලික වුණු මේ සියලු දෙනාගේ 89ක් රෝග 203ක් කාන්තරා දූරීභූත වේවා. නේද? ඒ ලෝක සෞඛ්‍ය සංවිධානයේ විදිහටම සියලුම දෙනාගේ සෞඛ්‍ය තත්ත්වය උපරිම මට්ටමට ලැබේවා. විදුලි නිරෝගී වාගේවා කියලා නේද? සෑම සිල්ලාටම අතනගලා ආවඩලා මේ විශේෂිත පාදාන්තය දක්වා වන්නා වූ දෝෂාන්තකාරයක් තියෙනවා නම් ගරාක්ෂ දේවතාවුන් වහන්සේගේ ඡායාරූපෙන් සැලසිලා මේ ස්ථානට ඇවිල්ලා ඉන්නවා. සෙත් කියමනක් කියලා ජොස් දුරු කරලා යන්නයි තියෙන්නේ. හොඳයි නේද? හා.
Ladies and gentlemen, please give another round of applause to those phenomenal performers. Ladies and gentlemen, what you witnessed just now was not merely entertainment. It's the window into humanity's timeless struggle against infectious diseases. While our methods have evolved from ritual, as you just witnessed, to molecular diagnostics, from drummers to data systems, the fundamental goal still remains unchanged. To identify the threat, understand its nature, and protect our communities. Ladies and gentlemen, now let's take a moment to explore the journey and the key milestones of the project today through our project highlights.
The Network for the Identification of Emerging Agents, or IDEAnet, is a pioneering One Health collaboration between Sri Lanka and Germany. Funded by the German Federal Ministry of Health under the Global Health Protection Program, IDEAnet connects teaching hospitals, universities, and diagnostic laboratories across Sri Lanka, working together to strengthen preparedness for infectious disease outbreaks and improve public health. Established through a visionary collaboration between the University of Colombo and the Robert Koch Institute in partnership with the Ministry of Health of Sri Lanka and supported by the Federal Ministry of Health Germany under the Global Health Protection Program, IDEAnet stands as a bridge connecting science, medicine, and public health. Across the island, a network of partner institutes and hospitals, the Medical Research Institute, Colombo North Teaching Hospital, Teaching Hospital Jaffna, Teaching Hospital Anuradhapura, Teaching Hospital Batticaloa, General Hospital Kandy, Teaching Hospital Karapitiya, Teaching Hospital Badulla, and the National Institute of Infectious Diseases Angada come together to form a truly national diagnostic network. Grounded in the One Health principle, this partnership represents a united effort to strengthen disease surveillance and response across Sri Lanka. At the heart of IDEAnet lies capacity building. Since its inception in 2017, the network has trained over 200 laboratory professionals in molecular diagnostic techniques, including real-time PCR, LAMP, and next-generation sequencing. Through a train-the-trainer approach, Sri Lankan experts now independently conduct national workshops on the detection of emerging and re-emerging pathogens. These hands-on trainings conducted at the University of Colombo's purpose-built Molecular Diagnostic Training Center ensure sustainable knowledge transfer and self-reliant diagnostic capabilities throughout the country. IDEAnet has also advanced the frontiers of research on zoonotic and emerging viruses. Through collaborative studies involving wildlife reservoirs such as bats, birds, and rodents, the network has successfully identified novel pathogens previously undetected in Sri Lanka, including the first detection of Nipah virus in fruit bats. Research projects have produced numerous PhD, master's and bachelor's theses, and several peer-reviewed publications contributing to the global understanding of viral ecology and One Health surveillance. The collaboration continues to nurture the next generation of scientists in both Sri Lanka and Germany through academic exchange and joint supervision. The success of IDEAnet has gained national and international recognition. The Ministry of Health of Sri Lanka, the World Health Organization, and the German Embassy in Colombo have acknowledged the project's contribution to building diagnostic resilience. Collaborations have expanded into areas such as public health emergency operations, AI-supported vector surveillance, and UN-linked biosafety partnerships. Among its most practical achievement is the development of IDEA kits, cost-effective, in-house molecular assays now used in hospitals across Sri Lanka for rapid detection of infectious diseases. Through quality-assured laboratory protocols and external assessments, IDEAnet ensures diagnostic reliability while enhancing national outbreak preparedness. IDEAnet, building diagnostic capacity, empowering scientists, and advancing One Health for a healthier future.
Ladies and gentlemen, after the project highlights video, I would now like to respectfully invite, and also indeed we are privileged to have you with us today, Dr. Momo Takeshi, the non-official country representative from Sri Lanka. Ladies and gentlemen, the World Health Organization has been a vital partner in global health initiatives, particularly in strengthening the health systems, disease surveillance, and emergency preparedness in countries like Sri Lanka. And Dr. Takeshi leads the WHO efforts in Sri Lanka and brings a wealth of experience in public health and health system strengthening and emergency responses. And I respectfully invite Dr. Momo Takeshi to address the gathering.
Thank you very much. I'm a currently officer in charge for WHO Sri Lanka, and this is my big privilege and honor to speak a few words at this inauguration of the IDEAnet One Health Forum. So His Excellency Dr. Felix Newman, Ambassador of Germany to Sri Lanka, our Honorable Secretary of Ministry of Health and Mass Media, Dr. Anil Jasinge, Vice Chancellor of the University of Colombo, Professor Indika Kalamuntilake, and Professor Andreas Nietzsche of the Robert Koch Institute, and other distinguished researchers and colleagues from the Robert Koch Institute and Global Health Protection Program. Professor Nilika Maravijo, today's Honorable Chief Guest Speaker, and distinguished officers of the government institutions, academia, experts, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning again, and let me begin by thanking the IDEA Laboratory at the University of Colombo, especially Professor Inoka Pelela, the Ministry of Health, Sri Lanka, and Robert Koch Institute, Germany. Your leadership in launching this initiative shows the power of collaboration between science, public health, and international partners. This forum theme, exploring the world of pathogens, could not be more timely. Pathogens, though invisible to our eyes, have shaped human history from SARS to Ebola to COVID-19 to Nipah. Emerging diseases continue to challenge health system and our societies. Yet, these challenges have also shown our ability to innovate, learn, and work together. As we explore pathogens, we also explore new frontiers in science, solidarity, and preparedness. This brings us to One Health approach, an idea WHO strong supports. It's now clear that human, animal, environment, and health are all deeply connected. Zoonotic diseases, antimicrobial resistance, and climate change remind us that our health depends on the common ecosystem we all live in. One Health offers a way forward. It brings together scientists, clinicians, veterinarians, ecologists, and policymakers, all of us, to prevent disease at its source. By sharing the idea, research, and policy across the sectors, we build stronger systems and united front against future threats. World Health Organization is very proud to work with the government of Sri Lanka to embed One Health into national strategy, strengthen laboratory and surveillance network, and promote multi-sectoral coordination through global frameworks. From our perspective, emerging pathogens and One Health are the two sides of the same coin. COVID-19 showed that no country can face such threats alone. Regional and global partnerships are essential. WHO's strategy focuses on 3 pillars. First, preparedness and prevention, early detection and containment through integrated surveillance and data sharing. 2, research and innovation, using molecular science, genomics, and digital tools to turn data into action. 3, collaboration and capacity building, supporting laboratory networks, training professionals, and fostering cross-border research. Through initiatives like this, the Pandemic Fund, the International Pathogen Surveillance Network, and the Global One Health Joint Plan of Action, which is also in collaboration with our UN sister agencies such as FAO, World Organization for Animal Health, and UNEP, WHO is helping countries, including Sri Lanka, to respond swiftly and effectively. Sri Lanka's strong public health system and commitment to science are well known. The IDEA laboratory is a great example of bridging research and real-world solutions. The partnership with the Robert Koch Institute shows how international collaboration turns laboratory discoveries into public health impact. Scientific discovery matters most when it leads to action. The insights shared here should guide how we build laboratories, shape policies, train professionals, and engage communities. Our common goal is not just to understand pathogens, but to prevent outbreaks, protect people, and promote resilience. So I think this forum is more than a scientific meeting. It's definitely a call to collective responsibility. Every discussion here helps build a safer future. WHO remains committed to working with Sri Lanka, the Ministry of Health, academia, and international partners to strengthen One Health system and ensure research leads to real impact. Congratulations again to the organizers, the IDEA Laboratory, the Ministry of Health, and the Robert Koch Institute for your vision and dedication. On behalf of World Health Organization, I wish you all a very successful and inspiring forum. May it spark lasting partnership and strengthen our resolve to outsmart the world of pathogen. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam, and I will respectfully invite Professor Dr. Andreas Nish to hand over the token of appreciation to Dr. Pomo Takeshi, the WHO representative. Thank you very much, Madam, for being here, and also for this insightful experience sharing and also supporting Sri Lanka in each and every endeavor. It was a very inspiring message, and also we as Sri Lankans, we as the University of Colombo appreciate the continued support of the WHO's partnership and the guidance that have been invaluable to the initiatives of IDEAnet, and the emphasis on strengthening diagnostic capacity as a cornerstone of health security that resonates deeply with the work we celebrate today. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. With a big round of applause, we'll be presenting the token of appreciation to Dr. Pomo Takeshi from Professor Andreas Nish. Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you very much, sir. And next, we move on to the research highlights that will showcase the contributions of emergings from IDEAnet collaborative efforts. And this segment will also feature the impactful postgraduate research projects carried out under the IDEAnet initiative, reflecting the dedication of the young researchers and the strengthening of scientific capacity across the institutions.
The IDEAnet project, a pioneering collaboration between the University of Colombo, Sri Lanka's Ministry of Health, and Germany's Robert Koch Institute, strengthens diagnostic capacity and One Health surveillance to prepare Sri Lanka for emerging infectious disease threats. IDEANet's impact is driven by groundbreaking doctoral research addressing critical infectious disease challenges in Sri Lanka. Dr. Therese Muzaniak. Therese identified several viruses for the first time in Sri Lankan bats, including coronaviruses and paramyxoviruses, characterizing them through phylogenetic analysis. Her work concluded that spillover risk to humans was evaluated as low based on the data. Dr. Tejani Pereira. Tejani explored Sri Lankan bats as reservoirs for viruses and bacteria associated with human encephalitis using a One Health approach. Dr. Sahan Sirivardhana. Sahan examined viral shedding dynamics in fruit bats across Sri Lanka using next-generation sequencing. His research revealed 17 previously uncharacterized viruses, including Sri Lanka's first detection of Nipah virus and several novel henipaviruses and coronaviruses. Sarani Sepalagi. Sarani investigates respiratory viruses in migratory waterbirds visiting Sri Lanka's wetlands. Her work identified diverse viral pathogens, including a novel avian cyadenovirus, the first reported in Sri Lankan wild birds. Hansi Gandheva. Hansi investigates the virome of Aedes mosquitoes, key vectors of dengue and chikungunya, analyzing links between mosquito viromes and disease prevalence to guide public health strategies. Anne Catherine Desch. Anne Catherine studies zoonotic viruses in wildlife, including sampling elephants at 3 locations across Sri Lanka, using both direct and indirect detection methods. Chamara Amarasinghe. Chamara studies the movement, ecology, and landscape preferences of fruit bats using GPS tracking and genetic analysis. His work maps how bat ecology intersects with human environments, identifying key hotspots of zoonotic risk. Vitusha Arampamurthy. Vitusha explores rodent-borne viruses in Sri Lanka with a special focus on pox viruses, contributing to understanding zoonotic risks at the human-animal interface. Upeksha Vanigaratna. Upeksha evaluates the combined effects of multiple viral and host factors on endothelial dysfunction and vascular permeability that contribute to plasma leakage in dengue infections. Abira Satkunathan. Abira focuses on genomic surveillance of Mycobacterium tuberculosis and non-tuberculous mycobacteria, developing molecular assays that provide rapid, accurate diagnostic tools for clinicians. Led by Principal Investigator Professor Inoka Pereira in Sri Lanka and Professor Andreas Nisch in Germany, IDEAnet has produced groundbreaking publications and international collaborations. Discoveries such as first detection of Nipah virus in Sri Lankan fruit bats demonstrate the network's contribution to global pathogen surveillance. Through training, research, and collaboration, IDEAnet safeguards communities by identifying tomorrow's pathogens today. IDEAnet, strengthening One Health, strengthening Sri Lanka.
This next invitation goes out to Professor Deva Kavirakon, Head, Department of Zoology and Environmental Sciences, University of Colombo, to introduce our keynote speaker.
His Excellency, Dr. Felix Neumann, Ambassador to the Federal Republic of Germany, Dr. Anil Jasinger, the Honorable Secretary of Ministry of Health, ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasant duty to introduce the keynote speaker today, Professor Nilika Malavike, who is not a stranger to this university. She has actually graduated from this university and she has come here on numerous occasions to talk to us. Professor Malavike is a globally recognized immunologist whose research has significantly advanced the understanding of dengue, COVID-19, and many other infectious diseases. Her work spans immunopathogenesis, vaccine responses, and biomarkers for severe diseases. As I indicate, she graduated from University of Colombo in 2000 and went on to obtain her PhD from MRC Waterhill Institute of Molecular Medicine in University of Oxford in 2008. She has also been inducted as a Fellow of the Royal College of Physicians, Royal College of Pathologists, and National Academy of Sciences of Sri Lanka. She currently serves as the head of the Department of Immunology and Molecular Medicine at the University of Sri Lanka, Jawaharlal, and also serves as an academic at the University of Oxford. Professor Malavike has made exceptional contribution through research, mentorship, and science communication, earning numerous national and international honors. Some of her notable achievements include SC Paul Oration and Gold Medal for Sri Lanka Medical Association, receiving the Third World Academy of Science Young Scientist Award, the Vanta Award for Achievement in Medicine, Inspirational Woman Award for her work on COVID-19, Outstanding Role Model Award, and Most Inspiring Woman Award. And her work has also been cited in many leading journal articles, and in recognition of her research impact in immunology, dengue, and pandemic preparedness, she has been listed among the top 2% of scientists worldwide by Elsevier and Stanford University. Professor Malavike has also been named as President-elect of the International Society of Infectious Diseases, the highest position in global infectious disease leadership. Professor Malavike made invaluable contributions to COVID-19 testing, viral sequencing, and identification of emerging virus strains, significantly advancing our understanding of SARS-CoV-2 molecular epidemiology in Sri Lanka. She has also served as the director of the Center for Dengue Research at the University of Sri Jawaharlal since 2012 and has conducted groundbreaking work on dengue immunopathogenesis, vascular leak mechanisms, and immunocorrelates of protection. Professor Malavike has also served as the head of the Dengue Global Program for the Drugs of Neglected Diseases Initiative, advancing therapeutics development through international partnerships. She has maintained productive collaborations with the Oxford University while building local research capacity. I think it is evident to all of you with this brief overview, Professor Malavike has managed to bridge the theoretical and practical aspects of infectious disease research. Her expertise in pathogen detection, diagnostic innovation, and outbreak response directly addresses the conference's three key panel discussion areas. More importantly, her demonstrated ability to conduct internationally recognized research while working in a developing nation, building local capacity, training the next generation of scientists, and translating findings into clinical applications is commendable. Her keynote will provide actionable insights on leveraging limited resources, establishing meaningful international collaborations, implementing advanced molecular diagnostic techniques in resource-constrained settings, and translating research findings into public health impacts. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Professor Nilika Malavike.
Thank you. That was a very, very long introduction. Thank you for inviting me to speak. His Excellency, the Ambassador to Germany. Okay, so I'll be talking about from limited resources to limitless impact, and about rethinking research for health and prosperity. So the pictures I have shown there are what I believe as health and prosperity, relaxing in a nice garden or, like a forest area. That is my dream of health and prosperity. So anyway, I think as Sri Lankans, I know there are non-Sri Lankans here as well, our dream is to be a developed economy, a developed country. And so I'm not an economist, but my son is an economic student. So he said the best way to measure economy, if there is one in this, is GDP per capita, in a purchasing power parity per capita. So if you look at the country that is leading in the world is Singapore. And so our politicians keep on saying, like Sri Lanka wants to be like Singapore. Sri Lanka once had a more developed economy than Singapore in the late 1960s. That was a long, long time ago. So Singapore has come a long way and is now the #1 global economy when it comes to this GDP PPP per capita, which is apparently, according to my son, he might be wrong, I don't know these things, the best indicator. But anyway, if you look at where Sri Lanka is currently 104. So big difference. So once, so although many other countries in Asia have been, rising and developing, we have sort of lagging behind. And this GDP PPP, Singapore is 10 times more than Sri Lanka. If you look at many other lower middle income countries, Sri Lanka is the 7th place. But that's not where we want to be. And of course, we went through economic crisis, and this GDP PPP has been around the 14,000 something for quite a long time. We don't seem to be progressing. We are stuck at the same place for a very long time. Whereas if you look at economies like Thailand, Malaysia, which, like we were similar to them maybe like 15 years ago, they have progressed very well. So I think the question is, like, how can we use these limited resources to help our patients, help our people to be where Singapore is? Because one of the election manifestos of any political party, any politicians, is to make Sri Lanka like Singapore. So if we look at Singapore, of course, every day in the news, they are developing some drug, they are developing some diagnostic tests, or, some discovering some fantastic medical discovery or scientific discovery. But of course, the problem is, we can't really compare Sri Lanka to Singapore, because Singapore is now a very developed country. And of course, Sri Lanka, we can't develop or manufacture drugs or vaccines because we're a poor country. So how can we afford, given our resources, how can we afford to spend on research and innovation, given the limitation of our resources? But about India? During COVID times, India did amazingly well. If you look at India, not just, let's forget about COVID, the amount of diagnostic tests India has, the amount of drug development, the amount of research and innovation happening in India. And this India's own COVID vaccine. So I was in the vaccine evaluation committee, and if you look at the India co-vaccine versus all the AstraZeneca, Pfizer, all those dossiers and the type of research that went in to develop the co-vaccine, it was similar, not a tiny bit inferior to any of the big players in the global market. But then you can ask the question, well, India is big. You say Sri Lanka is small. So we can't really compare Sri Lanka and India. This is something that a lot of people say. But what about Bangladesh? Bangladesh is also developing new tests. Okay, maybe Bangladesh is a big country. What about African countries? Senegal. Okay, so now Senegal is one of the countries that develops a vast majority of the vaccines that are used within the country. And for the past 80 years, it has been developing the yellow fever vaccine, which is a WHO pre-qualified vaccine for the whole African continent. Now, how big is Senegal? What is the population in Senegal? Because some of the things that people are saying is, Sri Lanka is population, small country. So from the time, I went to school in Sri Lanka, people are saying what a small country Sri Lanka is. in our native language and English, we are a small country in the Indian Ocean. So we can't think big, we can't do big things, okay? And I also had the same mindset. But if you just compare Sri Lanka and Netherlands, okay? So because Sri Lanka is a small country, I always thought Netherlands was so much bigger than Sri Lanka. Netherlands is the second biggest agriculture exporter in the world. Second biggest, number one is US, number two is Netherlands. Sri Lanka is 1.4 times bigger than Netherlands. Okay, so we have a bigger landmass than Netherlands. Netherlands population is 18 million. Sri Lankan population is 22 million. Despite all that, Netherlands is the number two agriculture exporter. Okay, so now what about Senegal, which is African country, and Sri Lanka? Is Senegal bigger than Sri Lanka? Is it more developed than Sri Lanka? So no, Sri Lanka's population is bigger than Senegal. Okay, and economically, we are doing better than Senegal. So why are we lagging behind research and innovation? Okay, so it's a little bit of a chicken and egg question, you know, which comes first? Do you invest on research and innovation so that, you know, like you develop, or do you develop first and then do research and innovation later? So if you look at all the countries, especially in Asia, that have developed in recent times, it was because of research and innovation. But if you look at Sri Lanka, so this gives where Sri Lanka is based on spending on research, you know, like global innovation index, performance based on economic indices. So we are lagging behind when it comes to the expected outcome based on our economical status. We are in the 93rd place. And if we look at what we are doing better is, of course, infrastructure. So we are in the 66th place for infrastructure. So it's not, so but what we are lagging behind are so many other things like business sophistication, human capital and research, which were over 100. Okay, so there are certain things we are lagging behind, and is there a way that we can correct these things? So this gives a more comprehensive list. I mean, when it comes to energy use, we are pretty much on the top. We are number 6. So there are certain things that Sri Lanka does good, but there are certain things that we are doing very, very poor. And are there ways we can change it? So before we change things, I think the important thing is to identify the problem. Okay, so first of all, we have to accept that there's a problem. First, when we accept there's a problem, then we have to identify the problem. So this is an invited opinion piece I was asked to write in Trends in Microbiology, which I got together some friends from India, Thailand, and Indonesia, because those countries face similar problems as we do in coming from LMICs. So we have the Global North, which is, of course, doing very well. And we are from the Global South, which we are facing many funding inequalities, but many other inequalities in collaboration in many aspects. So is there a way that we can correct them, and what are the most easiest things to correct? So this is the problem. So I'm not going to go through all the problems. Some of the problems, it is not worth talking to this audience, like amount investment on R&D. Nobody here can change that, so I'm not going to talk about that. And also difficulties in publishing in high impact factor journals. Again, nobody here can change those things, so I'm not going to talk about that as well. But just to answer this question, do you need lots of money and resources to do impactful research? Okay, so I'm going to tell you a story. Okay, so first of all, I'm sure you don't know who this gentleman is. This is Professor Alan Townsend, who was the professor of medicine in University of Oxford. He was the professor of medicine when I was doing my PhD. Now he's emeritus. And he, although he's a professor of medicine, he is somebody who does the ward round in all afternoon, puts his lab coat on and works in the lab. Okay, so he's that type of professor of medicine. Now, when COVID came, he was 69 years old. So all of you know that during COVID, it was the older people who died, and older people were asked to stay indoors. And because he was old, the lab said, you know, the institute said, you cannot work. You have to go and work at home. Okay, you can't come because you're old. So So he couldn't work, but fortunately, he was also nominated for the Nobel Prize, although he didn't get it. But he has a lab at home. So when I say a lab at home, he has a centrifuge and a microwave and a lab bench at home. Before he was asked to leave, he put in one order for recombinant spike protein. And then he came 2 weeks later to collect it. He just opened the screen window, collected the spike protein and went home. Then he made this test to detect antibodies for COVID at home. Okay, so for that you need O negative blood. Okay, so his wife was a nurse who bled, and with his own blood, he made this test to detect antibodies to the spike protein. And this was published in Nature Communication. Okay, and this test was, given to so many countries for use. Now, there's a reason I'm telling this, and it's really good that Dr. Anil Jayasinghe is also here, because he was, like the hero in COVID when everything started and all that. So, as Professor Indika Karunatillaka said, there were a lot of issues when we started COVID. And one thing was, Sri Lanka did adopt this zero COVID policy, like China. So everybody had to have a PCR, and if you're positive, you're in hospital, right? But the thing is, like, if you had to go out of the hospital, you had to have 2 PCRs negative within 24 hours. So 2 PCRs. So you do one today and tomorrow also it has to be negative. If it's not, you're still in hospital. So people were stuck in hospital for months. Okay, we had patients in hospital for 2 months who were getting so depressed. There are people who were completely asymptomatic and fine. So then, of course, we can't continue like this. I mean, fortunately, there was a period without any patients and all that, but still you can't have so many in hospital. But then we again started having COVID. Now you can't be doing these things. So then it was adopted. If people have antibodies, they can be sent home. Now, where does Sri Lanka have so many antibody tests? And us being a diagnostic lab, we got truckloads of serum samples to do antibodies. And Sri Lanka didn't have antibody tests. What is the antibody test that we did? His antibody test. Okay, so we did some commercial antibody tests as well, but the vast majority of antibody tests that were done in Sri Lanka were made by him by a made-at-home test. Okay, so now the reason I'm saying that is, you see, so something as simple as that. So it's the thought that counts. So he made this test, which was implemented in Bangladesh, many countries in Africa, other Asian countries, and in Sri Lanka. It was also used for seroepidemiological studies, and subsequently made antibody tests to detect all variants as well. But the other side of the story, okay, so that sounds like a lovely story, okay, without not much funds and without much, resources, you made the story. Other side of the story is this recombinant antigen of this new pathogen, newly made, arrived in 2 weeks. If we order something in Sri Lanka, okay, you will have to wait until COVID finishes to get it. Okay, everybody, yes, I can see the audience smiling, and you all know this, right? So I'm telling you the other side of the story. If nobody there said, how dare you do something like that at home? If somebody did something like that in Sri Lanka, let alone home, I mean, let's say actually in a lab, what would be the approval process be to implement it? Okay, even if somebody made it, it would not be implemented. I mean, let's face the truth, right? And so everybody embraced it. So this is the difference. Okay, so it's not just developing, but implementation. So, and Sri Lanka, one thing that people also are not very enthusiastic in developing things is the trouble that it takes to actually get things done. You might as well hit your head against a rock. Okay, it's a little bit like that. And once you finally come up with a product, there is nobody, because the approval process, you might as well retire by that time if you are a young person. But of course, we made good use of his tests. We did many studies, including vaccine responses, because although it was for the original spike protein, he made it, then he made it for so many other different variants, and so that was, the end of the COVID story. So coming to how can we overcome these hurdles in research and innovations, of course, I said the most important thing is identify the problems. Now, I'll start off with one of the biggest problems, inefficient supply of chair, high taxation on research items. All research items coming to Sri Lanka have 33% tax on them. Okay, so we have a very limited research budget and you put 33% tax on them. I mean, how can countries like ours, which have very small research budgets, I mean, what would be the research output be? And then in Sri Lanka, we have people called middlemen. I mean, it's nice that they are, of course, sponsoring this conference. That is nice. But in Sri Lanka and many other LMICs, it's the middleman who gets rich. So let's say you have a, let's say 100 million research grant, at least 33 million would be going to the middleman. Okay, 100 million, because I mean 33% would be tax, 33% would be the middleman, and you have 33% to do your work. This is how the research money in Sri Lanka is spent. So if you actually compare the prices, because if you look at all the research items, the price is available online. So you can compare the prices online, compare the prices in Sri Lanka. In Sri Lanka, everything is 4 times more expensive. Okay, so this is a huge problem. I see audience nodding their heads because I mean it's a very easy comparison. Okay, everything is 4 times more expensive in Sri Lanka. So 33% of your research money, whatever project money, goes to the middleman. In other countries, you can directly buy from the manufacturer. You can pay with a debit card, credit card, institutional whatever card and get it. You then buy to and summer offers, winter offers, Christmas offers, loyalty card offers. You get so many discounts on reagents. So this is one important thing. Then, okay, so what happened? Something happened. Okay. Okay, so. Okay, yeah. So the other thing is, I'm sorry that I have to say this, all this in front of our health secretary, but anyway, no hard feelings, but I'm just, saying this is, the other thing is complex and highly bureaucratic custom clearance process. So let's say somebody comes up with an idea and you initiate this ordering process. So I'm just giving you university timelines. I have no idea about the Ministry of Health timelines. Okay, I'm just giving you academic timelines. It takes 1 to 3 months to give the purchase order. So you give the purchase order in 1 to 3 months. Then, of course, the local companies, the middleman takes time to put the order, collects all the orders and puts a bulk order. Okay, so by the time things come, it takes another 1 to 3 months. Okay, and then it comes to Sri Lankan customs. Now when it comes to Sri Lankan customs, you need to clear it. You need approval from the National Medicinal Regulatory Authority, which takes 1 to 2 months. Okay, because just to get a no objection or waiver or registration, because these are research items after all. And so, and that takes 1 to 2 months. And eventually, the total time is 3 to 8 months. If you're really lucky, okay, you get it in 3 months. This is not when you're lucky, when you really run after things and use all your effort in getting this thing, 3 to 8 months. So this is, so I can tell you my experience while I was at Oxford as a PhD student. I usually get things in 2 days. If it is or 1 week, if it's something very special, custom made 1 month. Okay, but usually 2 days. Okay, and we are competing with the rest of the world who gets things like that when we take such a long time. But is this a problem for national security? Okay, now I'm an immunologist. I don't do surveillance. True that we did a little bit of surveillance during COVID times, and it's nice to do surveillance, but I am an immunologist, but we also look at virus and everything because from an immunological point of view. So we were a part of this NIH program, A2 Cares, Asian and American Centers for Arboviral and Research, until, you know, the government's changed and a new president was elected. So in 2024 December, because we do dengue studies at National Institute of Infectious Diseases, the physicians alerted us of a possible chikungunya patients. So we got ready, and of course, by the end of January, I ordered chikungunya diagnostics, because to do research you need diagnostics, ordered sequencing primers, because we need to know what the virus looks like to do other things, and also applied for IRB approval, ethics approval, to look at pathogenesis, and, you know, I work on treatment and vaccine side of things to get approval for those. Then, of course, and very happy that the chief epidemiologist is here, he knows about this story, and by mid-April, nothing. Okay, I mean, we got IRB approval and everything else, but none of the orders came through. So I was told by MRI that they had done PCR in mosquitoes. Then the chief epidemiologist informed that they had done some, you know, chikungunya diagnostics, but, you know, nothing was happening. And by 13th of May, the CDC issues a warning that Sri Lanka, you know, a level 2 travel warning. And, you know, people are calling me and saying, you know, what are you doing? Quite a bit embarrassing. But then from a different source, mid-April, we did get chikungunya primers for sequencing. So it did take us a while to sequence, like 2 or 3 weeks, because for the new bioinformatic pipelines and everything. And we did put out this preprint on the 25th of May. So now, chikungunya, fortunately, is not pathogen X. But if pathogen X was here and we needed to do something, this is a national security problem. Okay, so this is why, forget about health and prosperity, for national security, we need to do something about this bureaucratic process. Then lack of institutional support for especially young academics. I'm not talking about people like me, but actual young people. So in universities, especially young people and old people have impossible number of teaching hours. Our universities are teaching institutes and not research institutes. And when people actually, the perception, at least I'm talking about medical faculties, I know there are science faculty people here, so the perception could be different in science faculties, but in medical faculties, people who do actually research is like a selfish thing. It's for your own personal gain. It doesn't, not for the benefit of, you know, the mankind, okay, or the rest of the country. So, there is this perception. So actually, when I, you know, once received a research award, one academic said, you know, we don't have time to do research. This is why we are not getting awards, because we teach. Fortunately, our university then started giving teaching awards, which is from, you know, students vote about, you know, best teach and all that. And I repeatedly started getting, you know, best teacher award, which is quite nice. You see, because people say, so just to show, because I love teaching and I really care about the students, and to hear that, you know, you're just doing research, you don't teach, is you know, something that I felt. And it is, of course, impossible to get approval for research projects. There is a thing called professional jealousy in Sri Lanka, which is so much so than other countries. I know there are people from Germany, but, you know, that's how it is. And also, research projects are evaluated by people who actually have no idea about it. So sometimes when I get comments to some of my research projects, I know that the person has absolutely no clue. So as a teacher, when a student asks me a question, from the question the student asks, I know how much the student has understood. Similarly, from the comments that we get for our research projects, you understand how much that other person actually has understood your project. And so the quality of the research is not taken account to. So in universities, you have this promotion, you're a senior lecturer, grade 1, associate, then professor, then senior professor. And people like the promotions because your salary also increases. But if you look at the professorial promotion scheme, irrespective of you publish in a local journal, let's say like a non-index local journal, versus if you have a Nature paper, the amount of marks are the same. Actually, not the same. If you have a single author local paper, you have more marks than a nature paper, because I mean, you're not going to have a single author nature paper anyway. Okay, there are going to be so many authors if you have a nature paper. So then the marks, so then you have very tiny amount of marks for you. So in other words, if you don't do quality research, you have more marks to become a professor than being actually doing quality research. Because if you do quality research, your marks go down, okay, because you can't obviously do it alone. So all of these, and then of course the poor pay and unattractive work environments, which nobody here sitting here can do anything about, but of course leads to brain drain. So we are losing a lot of young people, the very, very good minds. Then we have social barriers, societal barriers. Immature policymakers, when I mean policymakers, I mean politicians, okay, and expecting magical cures with, like you give like 5 million Sri Lankan rupees, which you can convert to euros if you want to, which is nothing, and you expect at the end of 3 years you come up with a medicine. I mean, nothing works like that. And then we have media. So, I mean, all of us are very critical about media, but we are not doing anything about it. I'll come to that. So the media can't differentiate between good and bad research. So whether it's like, now last week, Professor Asita Silva, Calais University came up with this hypertensive combination, and that was given a good media outreach, which is fantastic. But at the same time, when somebody says you discover some drug, again the same type of media hype is given. So people can't actually differentiate, okay, what is actual discovery, what is not actual discovery, and it discourages people who do actual discoveries to take it to the media. And of course, then there are no incentives. In the university system, whether you do research or not, I mean, you get the research allowance, so everybody gets it. The salary is the same. So when I was young, just after my PhD, when I came back to Sri Lanka, I had 2 very young kids, huge teaching load. Now the teaching load is handled by 6 academics and no money, so no research assistant. So I was running into the lab, and also no research assistant to collect blood from hospitals. I would go to do all that. So usually when you're a senior lecturer, people don't do this type of thing, because now you're a senior lecturer, you don't, it's like beneath you to be working in a lab, go to hospitals, collect blood. But fortunately it was not beneath me, so I did all that. But people would laugh at me. I mean, why are you doing all that? Okay, I mean, you're working so hard. I can't even imagine how hard I work. But a lot of people used to laugh at me. Why are you doing all that? Why are you working like that? Okay, but because I like to, fortunately, so that was immaterial. The other thing is the colonial attitude within the country. I'm not talking about colonial attitudes outside the country, but within the country. In Sri Lanka, and not India, India is very nationalistic. In many countries, any knowledge from outside is given better, like taken as much better than knowledge within the country. Okay, India is different. Okay, and so sometimes you have individuals with far less knowledge than people within the country coming and doing workshops, given important posts, various things, and that is because of colonial attitude within the country. So, and the other problem is, of course, we have very limited money. But if you look at all the budgets in the past, we do have quite a lot of money allocated for research and development. So where did all that money go? So of course, we do have many institutions in Sri Lanka, research institutions, expensive labs, equipment, without people to run them. Okay, and I won't name things, people know these. And of course, money is spent on educational programs and workshops in 5-star hotels, the most expensive places. I'm very happy this IDEAnet conference is happening here inside the university, in this wonderful auditorium, without wasting money and taking it to, like somewhere else. Good use of your money. And all the workshops that you showed, I mean, that was all in making the maximum use of the funds, whatever funds that were given. And of course, maldistribution of funds, the people who actually work, who can work not getting it, and people who talk but who can't work getting it. So how can we do impactful research and how can we correct it? So again, these are the solutions. I'm not going to go through all of them, but research, many aspects. One thing, of course, international collaborations. Us being a LMIC, a poor country, underdeveloped country, we cannot do things by ourselves, and everybody these days needs to collaborate. But the way you collaborate is very important. Research co-led by scientists from our countries and others. So it's very nice to see how IDEAnet works, which is exactly how research collaborations should work. And we have many other collaborations with Hasita Tisera, with University of Notre Dame, again like that. And where, because especially when you are working on indigenous things or problems relevant to a country, they should be co-led by scientists of those countries. And collaborations are always important for better funding opportunities, learning better ways of doing things. But also, we have enough and more people doing research in a not so good way. In other words, that doesn't improve local capacity or doesn't do anything for the local scientists. And that's called parachute research, colonial research, where people from high-income countries usually come, take samples, go overseas and do all the research without acknowledging or very minimum giving back to whatever country they take it from. So there's a lot of discussion about these things in global health, helicopter research, colonial research, and this is an open discussion discussed in many areas. So I was also in, so this was a session that happened in Oxford University about decolonizing global health, and how important it is to engage people in LMICs and co-leadership in any project. And of course, the wrong type of collaborations would be high-income country experts and institutes valued much more, the expertise valued much more than low-income and middle-income countries. And of course, authorship in always to high-income countries where, you know, the countries where the actual work is done and the people who actually work are given irrelevant authorship, which needs to stop. And for COVID and so on, I mean, we've worked widely, and so we had all these collaborations established for dengue, which we could rapidly work out for when COVID came. And for dengue, we very widely collaborate with so many institutions. I mean, I've been working on dengue for a long time. I am not a COVID researcher, although it was mentioned like that. I have hardly done any work on COVID. I mean, do have publications, but I don't consider myself a COVID researcher at all. And recently, of course, chikungunya happened. So, and we are very much looking into pathogenesis for drug discovery and vaccines, especially drug discovery. And here we have scientists coming into our labs, working alongside our scientists for the chikungunya work. So, supporting scientists. So, how can we do things differently? So, again, redirection of funds. So, Singapore, as I mentioned in the first slide, happens to be the most developed economy in the world. So I was fortunate enough to speak at 2 conferences in Singapore, which was a big international conferences attended by scientists all over the world, and were held at Duke in US, the university auditorium. Singapore, being such a developed country, does not have these things in 5-star hotels, although it can afford. And similarly, we have individuals, I mean, so many scientists from Germany here. Next year, there is IMAV in Germany, which is in Hamburg, again in the university. Okay, so again, you know, Germany also has their conferences in university, but not Sri Lanka. We happen to be very rich. We can have it in 5-star hotels. So, but if you use that funds, you can actually have more funds for to carry out actual research and activities, support scientists to do present their research at meetings, and of course capacity building. And the important thing is about media, which we tend to neglect, because there are many international organizations recognizing the importance of educating media by having media workshops, media fellowships. I myself have been involved in mentoring journalists from India, from the Hindu, who then actually wrote such wonderful stories. So I have, my previous role at the NDI, conducted so many media scientific workshops. And the other important thing about science communication is the younger generation. In Sri Lanka, the younger generation feels so hopeless and feels like they need to go somewhere because it's hopeless living here. And because if you watch news, which I don't, it's always about negative things, about somebody saying something bad, about drug problems in Sri Lanka, shooting problems, somebody shot somebody, somebody killed somebody, you know, or somebody stole something. Nothing about there is no good news. So good news is very important to give hope to the younger generation so that they understand, okay, you know, the grass is not green on the other side, you have green grass on this side as well. And of course, getting rid of bureaucracy. I think no policy maker intentionally wants to say, okay, I'm going to come up with policy decisions to make sure research doesn't happen in Sri Lanka. Actually, nobody comes up, you know, like intentionally does these things. So the reason we have this awful bureaucracy and awful laws is people actually don't understand the impact of these laws or these regulations that they have put in, how much it actually hinders research and everything. So educating the policymakers by the right people, not by the people who actually do the work. So we have a lot of people talking to policy workers who have no idea how research is done, who don't actually face these problems, or are people from overseas who have come to correct things in Sri Lanka, who again have never worked in Sri Lanka and don't understand the problems. So nobody, in whatever government that has come to Sri Lanka, intentionally wants to stop research or innovation. They put in these laws because they have no idea. And of course, coming to the big question, okay, how are we teaching our younger generation to do or not to do research? So, I mean, again, science faculty could be different. I'm coming from medical background in medical faculties. So when we teach our students, which is basically our students are taught by the community medicine department how to do research. And the only type of research that is taught is randomized control trials, cross-sectional, case control, descriptive studies, but you have to define everything before you start the study. Okay, these are fantastic study designs and absolutely necessary, but this is the only type of research taught to our undergraduates. Nobody teaches how to do discovery. And it's discovery that is important to answer question about why something happens, how something happens, when something happens, where something happens. And these are very unstructured questions that nobody teaches students. I mean, science faculty could be teaching these things, but I have also gone through proposals from science faculty, which are very, very restrictive. And so just to give an example of the type of research, one of the research I want to do is looking at vascular leak in dengue. So plasma leakage happens in dengue, and that's why, you know, you have all the complications. So the main question I wanted to answer was, what causes this? Okay, so this question doesn't fit into any of those study designs. So you can imagine the trouble I went to trying to get approval for these things, because it doesn't fit into any of those things. These are very open-ended questions. And the reason, of course, what causes vascular leak is important for drug development and for biomarker discovery, which is very important because we admit everybody, but if we can admit only people who are going to leak, that would actually save a lot of money. So just because there are many people from Germany here, our research done on biomarkers, we are just about to start a study with Roche. We are one of the partners, which we are looking at exploratory biomarkers. And so the studies we did by trying to figure out what causes leakage, we actually identified many mediators that cause leakage, which led to many clinical trials. The first one was in hospital. The second one we couldn't complete properly, although we published it because the findings were interesting. COVID came, so we had to stop it. Then we looked at indigenous Ayurvedic products, which actually stop some of these mediators. We also took ethics approval to start another trial, but then COVID, in the middle of COVID, and we couldn't implement it. So our research on dengue was actually taken to many international platforms. I've spoken most about it. And when we went through a very bad economic crisis, Nature News contacted me to ask, I mean, how is all this economic crisis affecting our research? So many overseas, like even journal, like Nature News was interested how all this was impacting our research. So many other international organizations were interested how the economic crisis was impacting our research. But of course, for people in Sri Lanka, research does not matter. I mean, because I think it's also our fault for not taking this. And finally, when it comes to taking things forward and doing the best with the limited resources, this is the most important: teamwork. Although Sri Lanka is not a small country, it is a big country. We have a very small number of people doing work. We have a very small scientific community. So if we work together, you can achieve impossible things. During COVID times, I mean, our team was like so much smaller during COVID times. We were doing diagnostics, we were doing sequencing, we were doing vaccine studies, epidemiological studies, and that was because our team worked at one machinery. Okay, people were not pulling in different directions, but one big family. So teams are everything for achieving whatever. So Sri Lanka is a beautiful country. Sri Lanka is making headlines of the best travel destination in the world. And I can see people from Germany smiling. Yes, we are very proud of this. And Sri Lanka is famous for our beauty. But I hope the day will come that we are also known for our science. Thank you for that. Yes.
This invitation goes out to Professor Emeritus Sunil Premavansa, Department of Zoology and Environmental Sciences, University of Colombo, to hand over the token of appreciation to our keynote speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a big round of applause as we are presenting the token of appreciation to our keynote speaker, Professor Nilika Malavige. Thank you so much, Professor. It was indeed a very insightful and a very, very powerful keynote. I think she left a very important message to all of us, something for us to ponder on, and it was definitely thought-provoking. Thank you very much, Madam. Ladies and gentlemen, the success of the IDEAnet project would not have been possible without the strong support, partnership, and the visionary leadership of the Ministry of Health, Sri Lanka. We are deeply honored to have with us Dr. Anil Jasinghe, Secretary of the Ministry of Health, Sri Lanka. Dr. Jasinghe has been the helm of Sri Lanka's health sector during one of the most challenging periods of our nation's history. When the COVID-19 pandemic struck, it was under his steadfast leadership that Sri Lanka mounted a remarkable initiative and an effective response to treat people that earned international recognition. His unwavering commitment to protecting the people of Sri Lanka was evident in every decision, working tirelessly to strengthen our healthcare infrastructure, expanding test capacity, and cooperating a whole of government responses. Now, I invite Dr. Anil Jasinghe, Secretary to the Ministry of Health, to address this gathering.
Thank you. Her Excellency, the Ambassador of Germany, Dr. Felix Neumann, OIC WHO Sri Lanka, distinguished officials from Ministry of Health from Germany and Robert Koch Institute, especially Professor Andrea, Dr. Malavige, keynote speaker today, officials from Ministry of Health and Mass Media and University of Colombo, distinguished professors, colleagues, scientists. ladies and gentlemen, what can I say after Professor Malavige? I will probably read. So it's a great honor and privilege to join you today at the inauguration of IDEAnet One Health Forum 2025, themed One Health from Identification to Surveillance, Exploring the World of Pathogens. I extend my warmest greetings to all participants, national and international experts, researchers, and public health professionals who have gathered today to advance understanding and response to emerging infectious diseases. Let me begin with a simple fact that pathogens do not respect borders. They do not ask for permission to move from animal to humans, from forests to cities, or from one country to another. Every outbreak is a reminder that health is not an individual issue. It is a shared responsibility. One Health is not just a concept, it is a necessity. By integrating surveillance, diagnostics, and response across sectors, we can prevent localized threats from becoming global crisis or pandemic. A threat to one is threat to all. COVID-19, avian influenza, and other emerging infections remind us what we must act collectively, think systematically, and respond with speed and precision. Sri Lanka is a country of immense biodiversity. Our people, our animals, and our environment are deeply connected. Now, the biodiversity loss is one of the triple planetary crises, and it arises from deforestation mainly over centuries. And with deforestation, with the fragmentation of habitats, we lose fauna and flora, and also they will lose their habitats, and then there's no place for them to live, and they could jump to you, to us. So that is what exactly happening in big animals as well as microorganisms, I believe. So, therefore, it's in a way it's a man-made disaster, which I think we need to seriously think about, because in this, I know we talk of surveillance, diagnostics, and mostly I believe this forum is on detection mostly. So, but if you meddle with environment, and then you have so many pathogens, coronavirus, were basically with animals coming into humans, then I mean we are simply asking for trouble and then start detecting. So on one hand, we have to develop science for surveillance, detection, and then fixing the issues. But in the meantime, I believe there are nature-based solutions that are very important, and it's I think it may be too late, but still we have to think on those things. So that's why this One Health has come into being. Globally, the WHO, UNEP, World Organization on Animal Health, they have joined together, and globally the WHO takes the lead, similarly regionally as well as in countries. If you take in Sri Lanka, we have the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Environment, then the DAPH, Department of Animal, and then other, of course, universities. Universities are everywhere. But I see that our efforts are not up to the standard. We do some work here and there, but I think it need to be more orchestrated and more evidence-based. So that's I think very important. In this context, IDEAnet represents more than a project. It is a bridge between research and practice, between Sri Lanka and global experts, between knowledge and action. This conference brings together leaders across the full spectrum of pathogen detection, diagnostics, and public health management. Such comprehensive approach ensures that we address the life cycle of pathogens, from detection to intervention, effectively safeguarding communities. I just read the project objectives of IDEAnet, and I found that supporting the development of pandemic preparedness plan, advancing One Health approach, contributing to global health security are among them. So that's beyond, I think, lab work. So I think you have this holistic approach as well. And I believe that you have manpower also to run on all these lines. Okay. So molecular diagnostics has transformed our ability to detect pathogens early, from RT-PCR to sequencing technologies. These tools allow rapid detection, precise tracking, and timely intervention. But also, tools alone are not enough. Trained professionals and strong collaborations turn technology into action. The workshops leading up to this conference have empowered our scientists and healthcare workers to apply these tools effectively in real-world scenario. I know that you have done a lot of workshops in training our scientists, researchers in molecular diagnostics. The Ministry of Health is proud to be a collaborative partner of this conference. We are committed to supporting initiatives that enhance preparedness, strengthen health systems, and promote the One Health approach. Together, through collaboration and innovation, we can anticipate threats, respond rapidly, and prevent outbreaks before they escalate. Let us remember that the pathogens have a life cycle, a circle of emergence, detection, response, and prevention. Our mission is to close that circle, leaving no gaps for disease to spread. I am confident that the 2 days of workshop enlighten ideas, inspire innovations, and strengthen partnerships that will safeguard public health in Sri Lanka and beyond. Let me thank the Republic of Germany for helping Sri Lanka in this endeavor. And on behalf of the Ministry of Health and Mass Media, I extend my best wishes for successful IDEAnet One Health Forum 2025. And I thank all of you for your commitment and collaboration. In the meantime, I'm thankful to Professor Malavige for the presentation and I think that was a very honest presentation. I don't know why she apologized me. She sat and then she apologized me. There was no reason for, we all are in the same boat, right? So anyway, I believe that certain changes are taking place slowly. This is a very good forum, but in the meantime, you better have a forum with the Minister of Science and Technology as well, because I see that Minister personally as well as an institution, they do some good work, they do some networking, and we also try to support. I see that it's about not only just research and innovation, and I think they have put forward the term the research and development and operationalization and research and commercialization. So they have various thoughts in their mind, and I see some in some areas they have been doing well. I think people like you can be of enormous support on this journey. So therefore, don't regret. So I think we will be able to do some good work, and then as you said, it's like this. If you take Ministry of Science and Technology, it has been like Ministry of Buddha Sasana, right? So I don't see any difference in between. Just I don't know, maybe 1% of this thing is given, and all this time they don't know what they have to do even with that meager money, right? So you need to have some template. You need to have some plans. You need to have some dialogue. You need to get the research-minded community together. You need to plan out for the future. You need to have some objectives. So I believe that I see some light at the end of the tunnel. So I think you can certainly, without crying, you can be more proactive as you have been, of course, working all throughout your life. So let's be optimistic. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Dr. Anil Jasinghe, the Secretary to the Ministry of Health, for addressing the gathering. And I would like to invite Professor Devaka Veerakorn, the Head of Department of Zoology and Environmental Sciences, to hand over the token of appreciation. And I would like to invite Professor Vipula B. Yapa, Faculty of Science Dean of the Sri Lanka Technology Campus, to accompany Professor Devaka Veerakorn. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Jasinghe's support was instrumental in rapidly establishing diagnostic capabilities, including integration expertise from projects like IDEAnet into our national pandemic response. And beyond the pandemic, Dr. Jasinghe was instrumental in modernizing Sri Lanka's health system and importance of preparedness for future health emergencies. And ladies and gentlemen, I would now like to invite all the dignitaries to equip photograph, including our chief guest, Dr. Anil Jasinghe, sir. Please just come to the stage with all the dignitaries who are present here. We'll be having a small group photograph before the conclusion of this formal event.
Sir, Professor I.C. Pereira, the Principal Investigator, Sri Lanka, we may coordinate the dignitaries to the group photograph that will be taken before the conclusion of this formal event. Thank you very much, everyone, including the chief guest, His Excellency, and also all the invited dignitaries who are present here for the group photograph. And to conclude today's inauguration ceremony proceedings, may I now respectfully invite Dr. Sujanti Myron, the project coordinator for Sri Lanka, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Good evening, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed a great honor and privilege to deliver the vote of thanks on behalf of the organizing team of IDEAnet One Health Forum 2025. Today's forum has truly been an inspiring and thought-provoking gathering, bringing together visionaries, experts, and partners dedicated to advancing the spirit of One Health, uniting human, animal, and environmental health for better tomorrow. First and foremost, our heartfelt gratitude goes to our chief guest, Dr. Anil Jayasinghe, Secretary, Ministry of Health, Sri Lanka, for gracing this occasion with your presence and for your continued commitment to strengthening the national and global One Health agenda. Sir, your leadership and insight have been a source of inspiration to all of us. We deeply honored the presence of guest of honor, His Excellency Dr. Felix Neumann, Ambassador of Germany to Sri Lanka. Sir, your support and encouragement towards the collaborative research and international partnership have been invaluable, shaping the vision of IDEAnet and this forum. Our sincere appreciation is extended to Professor Indika Karunatilaka, Vice Chancellor of the University of Colombo, for your continued guidance and unwavering supporting in nurturing multidisciplinary collaboration and research excellence within our university. We express our deep gratitude to Professor Upul Sonnadara, Dean, Faculty of Science, for his constant encouragement, direction, and for fostering a strong academic partnership between our faculties, a cornerstone of this forum's success. A special word of thanks goes to our keynote speaker, Professor Neelika Malavige, Professor of Immunology and Molecular Medicine, University of Sri Jayawardenepura, for your inspiring keynote address for highlighting the vital role of integrated science in addressing complex health challenges. We are also privileged to have among us Dr. Momo Takeuchi, WHO country representative for Sri Lanka, and several senior officials from Ministry of Health, including Dr. Priyantha Athapattu, Deputy Director General, Laboratory Services. Your presence here reinforces the significance of this dialogue in shaping national health policy and strengthening laboratory and surveillance capacities. Our sincere thanks goes to Mr. Ranjan Marasinghe, Director General, Department of Wildlife Conservation, Dr. Rajapaksha, Director General, Department of Zoological Gardens, whose insight remind us the vital interconnection between wildlife, ecosystem, and human health. We also wish to acknowledge the directors, consultant physicians, virologists, and microbiologists from the Medical Research Institute and our partner hospitals, as well as the health sector professionals, including senior and junior MLTs, who play an indispensable role in our health system. Our sincere gratitude to Federal Ministry of Health, Germany, and Ministry of Health, Sri Lanka, for the support throughout the project period. A special note of appreciation to Professor Vajira Disanayaka, Dean, Faculty of Medicine, University of Colombo, and Professor Prasanna Galhena, Director of IBMBB, and all faculty members from the faculties of science as well as in medicine for their intellectual support and enthusiastic participation. We are also thankful to our emeritus professors, distinguished session chairs, guest speakers, and all professionals from the College of Microbiologists for contributing to our expertise to enrich this forum. We also thankful to the academic supportive, and non-academic staff of Department of Zoology and Environmental Sciences and Faculty of Science, including Information and Technology Service Center. A special mention to Mrs. Nemali Buduwatta for organizing the dance performance, and our comparers, Dr. Charita Miniparachi and Ms. Bihara Gangegoda. We extend our deepest gratitude to all our sponsors whose generous support has made this event possible. We also wish to extend our sincere thanks to our Faculty of Science Media Unit for their outstanding efforts in providing a professional media coverage and providing us with all the videos on project and research highlights. Our gratitude also goes to our mass media partners for giving this important scientific forum the visibility it deserves and for helping to communicate the One Health message to wider public. At this point, I wish to extend a deeply heartfelt appreciation to the entire organizing team, the collective force behind this conference. Our profound appreciation to the German IDEAnet team, led by Professor Andreas Nist. Your commitment to cross-border scientific partnership has elevated both the quality and the global relevance of this forum. We truly valued your dedication, continuous communication, and the spirit of partnership you bring into this every effort. A very special thanks to our Sri Lankan IDEAnet team, led by Professor Inauguration Pereira. Your tireless coordination, perseverance, and meticulous planning for being the heartbeat of this event. Your countless hours spent organizing logistics, scientific sessions, communication, and team management reflect exceptional dedication. To the entire team, including the German team and the Sri Lankan IDEAnet team, thank you for your teamwork, your resilience, and the warmth of your collaboration. This forum stands today as the testament of your commitment, your shared vision, and the strength of the international partnership. Finally, to everyone who contributed in any way, through planning, technical support, coordination, and participation, we express our sincere gratitude. You have made the IDEAnet One Health Forum 2025 a truly impactful and memorable event. Let us continue this spirit of collaboration as we have moved forward together towards a more connected world. As we conclude today's proceedings, let us carry forward a momentum of partnership, innovation, and collective action for a healthier, safer, and more sustainable world. Thank you and good evening.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sujanti Myron, the project coordinator, and also IDEAnet One Health Forum. The event concludes formally, and also tomorrow there will be some talks, some interesting, insightful sessions so that you can exchange your ideas, get the knowledge. And also, at the end of this very specific thing, I would like to thank all the dignitaries, especially the German government, for collaborating with Sri Lanka from Sri University of Colombo. It's a great pleasure and a privilege to have the partnership and also all the efforts, all the support that you are extending on behalf of the entire Sri Lankan. So thank you very much. Our heartfelt thanks from the University of Colombo. And also thank you very much for being grateful and serving the nation.